Thank you. Yes, such an active group. But today we get to turn to our speaker now. So I would like to introduce Richard Strauss, who will be introducing our speaker.
Good afternoon. Our speaker today is Peter Schaller. Peter is the executive director of Rayo de Sol, which is a non-denominational Christian organization focused on sharing hope for children and their families in Matagalpa. Matagalpa is a city in the north central coffee growing region of Nicaragua. Rayo de Sol literally means a ray of sunshine or a sunbeam. And that's what Rayo de Sol provides its member communities. They do this through 5 initiatives, which are the Spiritual Growth Program, Youth in Action, Community Health, Community Development, and Educational Quality. Here's some examples of what they have accomplished. This is on a yearly basis. Scholarships to over 500 high school students, a 93% student retention rate, school retention rate, installation of 125 improved cooktops, 40 composting latrines, 40 rain harvesting systems, the treatment of 3,200 patients in community health clinics, the provision of vision screening and glasses, and emergency dental care to patients. The organization of public health workshops for 600 volunteers. They planted 7,000 trees per year. They provided business workshops. This list goes on and on. Sheila Riley and I have been lucky enough to work with Peter through Global Partners, through Gunderson, and we're lucky again to be working with him for the proposed 100 rain harvesting systems for families in the Matagalpa region. Peter's going to tell us more about Rayo de Sol and also about the proposed project. And then we have 2 Rotarians, John McKenzie from Rotary East and Sierra Lyon from Rotary After Hours. They're going to discuss the grant and its funding. Please help me welcome Peter Schaller.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for inviting me to be with you today. We were talking before the meeting that this project started with a very informal conversation a few months ago, and we never expected that in such a short amount of time it would take on a life of its own and be such an impactful initiative for us as an organization, also with the participation of so many Rotary clubs. And I heard it said the power of Rotary, right, by your president before we got started, and that is absolutely true. So just really so grateful for this opportunity to share with you today. Before I talk about our organization, we're going to show you a short video about the specific rain harvesting project, and then I'll just kind of let you know a little bit about who we are so you can know, what the partnership really entails. So we could go, I think the video is on the second slide. I apologize, you're gonna have to see me on the screen and listen to me up here at the mic too, but it's 2-for-1 promotion today. Matagalpa is a beautiful region in the northern highlands of Nicaragua. During the rainy season, there's lush vegetation, and it's where a lot of the country's coffee is produced. But the area that we work in, 37 communities in the rural area, are characterized by extremely high poverty rates, people living in chronic poverty and extreme poverty. And one of the greatest challenges that families in this area face is access to clean water. There are a few communities that have a mountain spring or a small river that they can go and fill up pitchers and buckets and things like that and carry them back home. A couple of communities have very limited access to public water systems where water is piped in a couple hours a week and they have to store it in barrels and buckets. But for the most part, the majority of the population has insufficient access to clean water. So 6 years ago, we designed a rain harvesting system. It's a really simple system. It's attached to the roof of the home, captures rainwater, and directs it into the storage tank. We use ordinary PVC piping and accessories, which are readily available in local hardware stores. And this tank, which is has a capacity of 660 gallons, 2,500 liters, and it's completely sanitary and protected from the elements. So when it rains in this area, and families can fill up the tanks and they use that for all domestic use. They use it for cooking and cleaning, for washing clothes, and it can also be used for drinking. We have a filter that goes with it that purifies water 99.9%. And the system is also set on a rock base. So the tank is protected from any damage or any kind of washout when there's heavy rains. And it just happened to rain last night in this community, and this tank is completely full. So this family will have water for the next couple of months, thanks to this tank. And our dream is to install another 100 of these rain harvesting systems in the next year. So each rain harvesting system also comes with a filter for purifying water. It's really simple to use. It's got a clay filter that's 99.9% accurate for removing contaminants. So you can pull rainwater out of the tank and pour it in here, and comes out clean, drinkable water.
Bueno, también me beneficia que ya el río casi ya, mejor dicho, no voy mucho porque ya cojo el agüita aquí para lavar, para bañarnos y ya pocas veces voy al río. Antes me iba 2 horas a estar al río lavando y ahora aquí cojo agüita para lavar y entonces ya me ahorro ese tiempo de ir al río.
Bueno, nosotros necesitaríamos que nos pudieran ayudar porque en el tiempo del verano nosotros aquí tenemos que hacer los pozos y son bastante hondos y cuánto no necesitaríamos que nos viniera una ayuda así, porque así nosotros conservaríamos que el agua es importante por muchas cosas, tanto para la cocina y tanto para otras cosas.
Primeramente yo fui beneficiario con un tanque de agua de almacenamiento por la organización de Rayos de Sol, donde antes de esto pues se me dificultaba mucho el almacenamiento de agua porque el agua es muy poca aquí en la comunidad. Cayeron unas lluvias, capturé un poco de agua, regar algunos siembros, y ahora que el invierno ha sido poco, igual siempre hubo agua almacenada y he resolvido todas las necesidades.
La dificultad del agua, como es que es muy oscuro, hasta agarrar el agua del río antes que llegue toda la gente a lavar, para no agarrar esa agua con jabón. Dice uno, pues no agarrarla con un poquito de sodio, pero yo sé que esa agua está contaminada, porque el jabón se asienta, todo, con toda la contaminación que le deja que hablar de la gente más anterior que ya ha lavado, porque yo soy una que yo bajo a las 5, 4:30 a lavar, él anda jalando el agua, mientras estoy lavando porque tengo problemas, no hay quien me cuide a los niños, él antes dice para clase no ir a la niña para yo ir a poder.
Sure. Well, that's just a short video about the difficulties that families face in having access to clean water. But I wanted to share with you a little bit about our organization as well, because water is one of the things we do, but we also have an integral approach to community development. And the first question that people ask us a lot is, why Nicaragua? Because we obviously live in a world in crisis, and it seems like it's getting worse every day. And we have selected this region in the world in Central America. In the first place, because more than 75% of the people we work with live in conditions of extreme or chronic poverty. And it's generational poverty. And we've been looking at statistics for the past 25 or 30 years, and Nicaragua has historically been one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere. There's always sort of an unfriendly competition with Haiti to see who has the lowest per capita income and the lowest human development indicators. There was also a political crisis in 2018, which affected a lot of aid to Nicaragua. It was just a couple of days shy of an all-out civil war, and since then we've seen worsening social and economic conditions. Tourism, which was on the rise, was essentially went from several 100,000 tourists a year to almost none. And obviously tourism is an industry that affects a lot of different economic sectors. And with poverty going up, we've seen in the past few years too, an incredible increase in migration. There are thousands of Nicaraguan families that are looking for ways to leave the country simply because there aren't any opportunities for education and for economic development. And also because of the political crisis, the government has shut down more than 2,000 nonprofit organizations over the past few years. I think it's more than that now. I think that number is a little bit outdated, but a lot of organizations were involved in anti-government activities or suspected of, and so they have been had their legal status revoked, which means that we are one of the few organizations still left in the whole northern part of Nicaragua. And essentially, we work in a region where there are no other social services available. So with this worsening crisis, we have seen an increased demand for the services that we provide. And as Dr. Strauss mentioned, Matagalpa is a beautiful region in north central Nicaragua. It is a mountainous region. This time of year when it's raining, the landscape is spectacular. It's one of the main coffee growing regions in the country and all of Central America. Actually, it's some of the highest quality coffee that's produced in Central America. But it is also a region that unfortunately has some of the highest poverty rates. And so many of the families that we work with live in conditions like that. And we have developed over the past 10 years an integrated approach to community development with the 5 programs that Dr. Strauss mentioned. By the way, he is one of the most popular visitors to Matagalpa. People still ask about him today. And I have to tell him, he'll be back eventually. So we are a non-denominational organization. So we have a spiritual growth program. We work in education, community health. We work with youth and also community development. This year, we have projects or programs in 37 communities and 37 schools. We work with more than 200 public school teachers with a population of about 5,000 students. Our doctor is now seeing about 4,000 patients a year. We have 800 young people with scholarships and about 500 families in community development initiatives. So I think the best way to describe our programs and how they impact the people we serve is best to see a family that has directly benefited from our work and participation. This is the Martinez family. Hilda is the mom, and she has 5 children. In our spiritual growth program, for example, we have a working agreement with the Ministry of Education. Our spiritual growth program is not only non-denominational, it's very inclusive. In Nicaragua, we basically only have Catholicism and some Protestant denominations, but we have a very open format. We don't plant churches. We don't convert people. We simply provide a space where people can explore issues of faith. So we do that with school children, with basically like a Sunday school class. We work closely with Young Life, which is a club for teenagers where they can also, in a sort of fun and non-threatening environment, learn about their faith. We send a couple hundred students to Young Life camps every year. And for adults, we also have discussion groups where we introduce topics about family and marriage and parent-child relationships and violence prevention from a faith-based perspective. And we have a psychologist on staff as well. We deal with a lot of very critical social issues. We deal with a lot of cases of abuse and domestic violence and rape and incest. And we have a psychologist who approaches those cases from a faith-based perspective. In educational quality, this is the program we started when we began the organization more than 10 years ago. We have a working agreement with the Ministry of Education. We are one of the few organizations left in Nicaragua that still has access to the public school system. So we actually have authorization through a written agreement to work directly in the public school system. Because obviously the quality of education in Nicaragua is quite deficient, and that means that we're constantly, bringing kids up through a system that doesn't provide them with the skills and the knowledge that they should have. School nutrition is one of the most critical elements. We provide food in coordination with the government so that kids have a nutritious meal every day. For a lot of kids, it is the only nutritious meal they get. And there are studies that have proven that just having good food available at school greatly increases attendance. So it is one of the key ways to keep kids in school and going to school every day. We also distribute a lot of materials. Those of you that have visited Nicaragua or countries similar to that know that the classrooms are pretty barren. There's really nothing, no technology, no books, no colors or anything. So we help a lot with materials that keep teachers with the ability to implement activities in their classrooms and also make sure that all kids can go to school. We have a lot of students that, for lack of notebooks or pens and pencils or a pair of shoes, don't go to school. So we make sure that that's not a barrier. We do a lot of reading is one of the pillars of our education strategy. We work with children and with teachers as well. Reading comprehension is quite possibly one of the top 3 skills that a human being needs in order to prosper in any professional career. So we work with students and teachers as well. And we distribute a couple thousand books every year. We also provide infrastructure improvements on a small scale to schools that are deteriorated, training for teachers and extracurricular activities to build out a more robust curriculum for our children. And so in this family, Brianna and Hamilton, who are the 2 children that are still in the primary education system, benefit from all these programs every day. We have a community health program, which before COVID, we really weren't doing a whole lot in health. We had some sort of minimal public health education. And when COVID hit Nicaragua, we sat down with our staff and, we said, if anybody feels uncomfortable and wants to go and work from home, no questions asked, but anybody that's staying, we're going a lot deeper. So at that point, we saw a lot of organizations around us that were shutting their doors and suspending services and even laying staff off. And we decided, instead of going home, to hire a doctor. So we hired a full-time physician and a public health educator. And at that point, we started offering clinics in all the communities we serve. Our doctor goes out every day and she sees sometimes 40 patients a day. There's one day a week where she attends patients at our office, which is quite small. And there sometimes are 40 or 50 people waiting on the sidewalk to see her in the morning when we get there. We also do nutritional monitoring, so that we have school nutrition, and we also do follow-up with the children. So our doctor takes height and weight measurement twice a year to do direct follow-up on any children that have malnourishment. We continue with public health training on basic issues to help prevent diseases, in the home, in the communities, and in the schools. And when we have patients with special medical needs, we also provide additional assistance, because also the public health system in Nicaragua is underfunded, under-resourced, and the people that have visited from Gunderson know that quite well. There just aren't enough resources in the system. So we provide patients that have chronic illnesses or acute illnesses with sometimes visits with specialists or specialized medication or even surgery. And our doctor does home visits as well to people that have chronic illnesses and can't leave their homes. In Youth in Action program is our scholarship program. So only 55% of children in Nicaragua manage to finish elementary school, and only 20% of young people that make it to high school graduate. And from there, only 7% go on to technical or university school. So the pyramid is not in favor of children getting a good education. So our scholarship program is designed to make sure that once children get through the 6th grade in elementary school, they have access and can stay in school all the way through high school and get a high school degree. We have about 800 students in the program this year. Of those, 75 are university and technical students. So once they graduate from high school, we also select the students that really show the most dedication and the most commitment to their education, not necessarily the best grades, but those that have the most desire to keep on with their education. We provide them with a scholarship as well. And besides just making sure they stay in school, we have staff that also plans personal development activities, vocational courses. We want to contribute not just to their formal education, but also their development as human beings. And the community development, which is where we're getting closer to the water project, this really benefits the whole family. So we offer vocational courses also for adults as well as young people. We have a system of biointensive gardens, which is a small scale organic system where you can produce essentially more food per square foot than almost any other system on the planet. It's tried and true. We do a reforestation campaign every year. As Dr. Strauss mentioned, every week we try to plant at least 7,000 trees. Most of them are fruit trees, so that also provides a source of food or income. The fuel efficient stoves is it's a little known fact, but inhaling smoke from open fires is one of the greatest risks to people in developing countries, particularly women and children. It can cause chronic respiratory illnesses in women, and it can also affect the intellectual development of children that are inhaling carbon monoxide every day. The rain harvesting systems, which we'll get to a little more detail, and we have a small farm. that we're developing and family business loans. So in this case, this family, Ilda, who's the mom, 6 years ago, we talked her into going to a course to learn how to bake. She has very little formal education. She's very reserved and quiet, and she was hesitant to go to that first course, but we managed to talk her into it. She learned how to bake, and then she and her family decided to start a bakery. So they got some loans through our family development loan project, and they bought an industrial oven, and they paid off that loan completely, and they continue to operate the bakery and is their primary source of income. So not only generating income and keeping their kids in school, but we've also seen significant improvements in their home. They used to have a house that was made out of scraps of sheet metal. They've now got a cinder block home with a secure door and a cement floor. And so little by little, the family is making significant changes. But water continues to be, one of the most critical issues. So Matagalpa, as we mentioned, is a coffee growing region, and usually you would associate coffee with the humid tropics. The region that we are in is the dry tropics. So we are just a little bit south of the most humid area. So most of the communities have almost no access to water sources. We work with a population of about 10,000 people. So to date, we have installed 210 rain harvesting systems. We did some testing a few years ago to determine the depth of the aquifers in that area to see if we could drill wells, and it's very cost prohibitive. The water tables are more than 300 feet deep. So just to drill a well to get to water would probably cost about $50,000 without getting it out of the ground and distributing it. And with small dispersed populations in the mountains, it just is much larger than we could afford to invest. So we designed the rain harvesting system, which quickly turned into probably the most popular thing that we do. We have people at our office all the time requesting systems. We have a waiting list right now. We estimate with the research we've done that there is a demand for at least 600 additional systems. We've done some work with the engineers that work with us, have done some calculations too. When we first designed the project, my thinking was, it rains, they will fill a tank up, and then, when it stops raining, which Nicaragua has two seasons, there's wet and dry, 6 months of rain and 6 months of dry. So I figured they would just fill the tank, and when it stopped raining, they would use it during the dry season. Well, what we discovered was, as it was raining, they were also consuming water from the tank. So it's not just one tank a year that gets filled up and utilized. They actually can fill it up, 15 or 20 times during the rainy season, and then they leave it storage for the dry months. It does not resolve 100% of their water needs. I mean, I'm 100% upfront about that. It's a significant amount of water that they don't have right now. They still need additional sources of water, but it has made a great impact in the families that we serve. And we just did some surveys. It's one thing to come up with a great project and execute it and take photos and write a great project report and then move on, which is what a lot of organizations do. But we want to know if it's actually working. So we did surveys with all the families that have systems. In the first place, 100% of the families we surveyed said that they use the tank every day, which to us was a great indicator of success. And then in terms of the household use, obviously could pick more than one option, but we found that people were using it for cleaning, washing clothes. A few less people, some people are maybe still hesitant to use it for cooking and drinking, even though they can filter it, and also for watering fruit trees and some small crops in their yards. So it has a direct benefit to their daily life. One of the things we were most concerned about was also the time that people had to invest just in providing water for their families, which is usually a task that's left to women and children. You saw those women walking up the hill. It is amazing to think, a 5-gallon bucket of water, and does anybody know how much that weighs? That's 40 pounds, one bucket. So most women have one bucket on their hip and another pitcher on their shoulder. And they walk up narrow mountain paths with those a couple times a day. So that's many hours a week that they spend. And we discovered, that the majority of people, everybody reported a time savings, and the majority, are saving more than 10 hours a week. And that's not just the time, but also the labor involved in hauling water from a river or from a well or from a mountain spring. And when we asked people about the benefits, what were the things that they most benefited from, obviously they could also make more than one selection. The time saved and the energy from hauling water, greatly improved, health and sanitation conditions, They had water available for watering their fruit trees and keeping them alive, and also they are well aware of the environmental impact of saving water, and also having that water go back into the systems, the ecosystems where they live. So it has been a tremendously impactful project, and we are so excited about this potential partnership. We've worked quite a bit in the past with the local Rotary Club in Matagalpa, that Gunnarson Global Partners worked also closely with them. This is a project I think that really gives us an opportunity to demonstrate what we can all do when we join forces and put all of our resources into something that's really beneficial. So the prospect of a partnership with the Matagalpa Rotary Club and the Rotary clubs here in La Crosse and our organization, which is a small organization, but we are chipping away at poverty in Nicaragua, is a great blessing for all of us. And we would love to see an exploratory visit in early 2024, so you could actually see firsthand the need and also the impact that the rain harvesting systems have had. So we're just grateful. I think the thing that all of us here have in common is creating hope in the world. I was so excited to see that as Rotary's slogan for the year, because it's a key word for us. When people are living in poverty, it can be devastating. It can be desperation, and it can also take away people's self-esteem and their ability to dream and to really have hope for the future. So with initiatives like this, something as simple as providing water, something that in the US and so many countries we take for granted, that we just go open the faucet and there's water, which is obviously so critical to human life. So thank you so much for this opportunity to share with all of you today, and we are so excited about the partnership.
Hello, I'm Sierra Lyon. I am the foundation chair for the Rotary After Hours Club. Thank you for having us and Peter here today. Do you want to click to the next slide, or do we have this? Awesome. So as Peter shared, our goal is to provide 100 of these rain harvesting systems, and the cost for each of those is only $725, with very minimal upkeep costs of maybe $15 to $20 every couple years to replace that filter. So the budget for this project is about $80,000, which means with the matching grants available at the district and international level, we have a full budget of about $80,000. So we already have some commitments from different clubs. The Rotary After Hours Club has committed $10,000 towards this project, and we're hoping for additional money from the other clubs in the community as well. In addition to our community providing funds, the local community that's benefiting also is active in financing this as well. Peter, do you want to come share about that? You're good.
So thank you. Everything that we do requires community participation. So when it's an investment like this, whether it's a rain harvesting system or a stove, the community also has to invest in it as well. So part of it is labor, because they have to prepare the area for installation, but we also ask them to pay approximately 20% of the total cost. And that goes into a fund that can be reinvested in maintenance, or it can also be reinvested in installing new systems. And another counterpart for the families that are involved in the program is to plant 25 trees as well on their property. If they have enough space to plant 25 trees, if not, they have to find a space in the community where they can also plant trees. So we're obviously, one of the key reasons we have so much water shortage is because of forest loss. Matagalpa has lost about 60% of its forests. So the more forests we can bring back, the fewer water problems we'll have in the future. So every family has a direct investment in the project.
Awesome. So our goal for the Rotary Club of La Crosse is to make a contribution of at least $5,000 towards this project. We are visiting other clubs in the community, and we hope that this really is a collaborative effort between all of the clubs in the area to reach our goal.
Hello, my name is Jonathan McKenzie. I'm the immediate past president of Rotary East. Thank you for listening to Peter's presentation today about this exciting international project proposal. I want to emphasize that through conversation, we identified that this initiative, we identified it as a Rotary project being done in the Rotary way, complementary to what Peter does, but a way that, so Peter and our friends of the Rotary Club of Matagalpa, in this instance, would be our expert advisors on the ground in Nicaragua. And our ask of you today really is an invitation to be part of this exciting project. I've been in Rotary for just over 6 years, and I remember when I considered joining, I remember in particular, I came across an FAQ that said, "What is Rotary?" Rotary is an international service organization. Rotary members believe that we have a shared responsibility to take action on our world's most persistent issues. Over 35,000 plus clubs work together to promote peace, fight disease, provide clean water and sanitation, save mothers and children, support education, grow local economies, protect the environment. Honestly, it's very inspiring to me. We believe that we have a shared responsibility to take action. I see with my own eyes how Rotary of Lacrosse Lacrosse and our other area clubs take this mantra to heart. When my twin sons were born a couple years ago, my wife and I received this copy of The Brain Game, which has been an invaluable resource to us as they keep growing. When I go for walks down here by the beautiful river, I see the Hearts Across the World Garden, and I'm reminded of your community commitment to the children of Cameroon. And just as soon as next month, I know I will be greeted by the joy of millions of little lights and warm s'mores as our community gathers to stock local food pantries for the holiday season. And I don't know about you, but the conspicuous Rotary mobile unit is a bit hard to miss. So yes, Rotary's presence is strong here in this community and in these clubs. I'm inspired knowing that I am in the presence of fellow people of action. And I know that we can accomplish anything that we set our minds to. Let's use this power to bring clean, sanitary water to our friends in Nicaragua. With a local goal of $30,000, coupled with the incredible power of Rotary, we can transform that into sustainable clean water for 100 families. So I ask you to join me in creating hope in the world through this great project, because this is who we are and what we do. Thank you.
I hope we do have a little time for questions, but I did just want to let everyone know tomorrow there'll be a meet and greet with Peter, an opportunity to learn more about the community and the project at Java Vino from 4:30 to 6:30. No RSVP required. And if you are already interested in participating in this project, there's lots of information on your tables about how you can make a pledge or make a donation directly right now. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for about 2 questions. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, Mark.
Yeah, my name is Mark Solis. Thank you, Peter, for all you do and the wonderful work in Nicaragua. I was in Nicaragua in 1991, and it was shortly after the Sandinista War. They were very proud of the fact they had high literacy in Nicaragua, and we had, I was primarily in Leon, Nicaragua. We had potable water. You could open the faucet and drink the water. What happened?
That's a great question. I always tell friends and visitors that Nicaragua is only poor because of politics. I think really, Nicaragua's greatest problems have been because of political instability. And especially now we're seeing that another cycle. Foreign investment and tourism were on the rise for several years. And all of a sudden, the political uprising, which was basically a failed coup attempt, set everything back again 10 years. So the infrastructure over the past 20 years has been deteriorating. We've had several governments, and now we've got a government that's been in power for almost 20 years. That shows no signs of relinquishing power anytime soon. There have been investments in highways and bridges and things like that, but water, electricity, and basic human needs like health and education are still really lacking in terms of resources, investment and development, which is why we have decided as an organization to partner with the government and to try and improve, the provision of those basic public services. I think we can impact more people that way rather than working outside and doing it on our own. So I'd be more than happy to talk about that later on or tomorrow, but I think, the political system is really what has kept Nicaragua, as an impoverished country.
Thank you. Are you going to be here after the meeting if people have other questions? Okay, we're going to move on, but